Hello there everyone, this is the ePad here. What you should know before I start is that this video you are watching is less of a review like any other video I have done before, but more of a tribute to Nintendo's own Super Mario Bros. Series for its 30th anniversary. This is also to commemorate the soon-to-be-released Super Mario Maker releasing on September 11th. I will be covering a small retrospective over the games that are featured in Super Mario Maker, which are Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario Bros. 3 for the Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo, and New Super Mario Bros. U for the Nintendo Wii U. What my own thoughts for each of these games are will most likely be saved for another time, however for now, please enjoy the following video. First thing to come into everyone's mind is that Mario and Pac-Man are without a doubt the two most recognizable video game icons. Part of that was noted when this game was considered the reason how the video game market was resurrected in the mid-80s. Some may also consider that thanks to Super Mario Bros. Pioneering that resurrection, it would be considered the greatest video game of all time, because without it, we would not have the games we had today. The game was released for the Nintendo Entertainment System in North America on May of 1987. Super Mario Bros. Being as influential set standards that was almost replicated for future platformers to come in time. However, for the Super Mario Bros. Series case, the premise of its story and gameplay just goes without saying that the foundation is the same for the entries I will mention later on. Princess Toadstool was kidnapped by the antagonist named Bowser, and Mario would have to run and jump his way through Mushroom Kingdom, occasionally with a power-up on his side. The staple that grants him extended health is the Super Mushroom, while the Fire Flower acts as a long-range weapon. Level design is considered on how the player reacts because in any platformer the general direction of where the goal is and where the character is facing acts as progression. Because the screen is panned to the left for more space of the level, it is clear that the rest of the screen is where the player would want to explore for most. Without this element, it will be difficult for a newcomer to video games to understand how to proceed. That is, until moving to the right and running for momentum can add easy depth of gameplay to what is seen as simple. Super Mario Bros. Would deem many more successors in due time, but of many NES titles that can be viewed as poorly aged, Super Mario Bros. Is one of the few that still holds great today. It has controls that fit better when progressing in a stage and level design that teaches players on how platformers started out. Those who proclaim themselves as what they like to call a gamer needs to play this game at least once in their lifetime, at least for some history lesson. Super Mario Bros. 3 was released close to the end of the NES's lifespan. It is one of the highest acclaimed titles in the series because of the standards that were made for new level progression, level selection, and the interface. One of the few details that Super Mario Bros. 3 offers is that it takes place on stage where there are drop shadows and strings attached to objects. It's reminiscent to the fact that one of the biggest advertisements Super Mario Bros. 3 had was from the film The Wizard. After how large the reception was from Super Mario Bros. 3's sales, the popularity would then spawn a cartoon series, and perhaps the biggest waste of time ever, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Super Mario Bros. 3 introduced new elements that were once again reused for future titles to the series at its core. There are 8 worlds, but this time each world had different thematical environments. The new power-up push for the game was the Raccoon Leaf, allowing Mario to attack enemies in close range and fly for a short period of time when gaining speed. With the world map given to the player after every level, it almost acts as a hub when the game gives out new bonus games and small enemy screens like the Hammer Brothers. This is not necessarily a crutch to a player because the bonus acts as a challenge on its own depending on where it's located and what the bonus game is, and after receiving rewards from those bonus games it will then be stored in the item selection in case the player wants to use it later. Technically, Super Mario Bros. 3 can be considered the first of its kind to spawn successors more similarly to what this game started. The maps, the enemies, and the structure have been reused for future installments. Sadly, one of the few downfalls Mario 3 had was the inability to save a file, at least in the original version. And for being released so late in the NES, especially after the original Legend of Zelda, is baffling because that game was able to save data. Despite that, modern players wanting to realize what innovations were brought from Super Mario Bros. 3 might be in for a surprise. The conventional numbered order in each title was soon scrapped when the 4th installment, Super Mario World, was released in 1991 for the Super Nintendo. It was a launch title for the brand new system, but it wasn't the first to do it. That did not matter for consumers because as soon as they laid eyes on the cover of the game and after viewing commercials for it, people would give praise to Super Mario World for being one of, if not the best launch title in Nintendo's history. Outside of Super Mario Bros. 2 USA, Super Mario World was also one of the more unusual titles. It took place on Yoshi's Island rather than the previously named Mushroom Kingdom. New enemies were included along with the old enemies already having redesigns, and the music added that, with the entire soundtrack being based only on one theme. What separates Super Mario World from the rest of the 2D games is that levels and worlds are now jointed together. Super Mario Bros. 3 had some extra pathways in the overworld you can bypass, but Super Mario World starting from Donut Plains takes that and makes it entirely its own beast. Fans can agree that the game really feels like you are tackling an entire world, especially when every world isn't thematical this time. Two new features, both shown on the box cover, now include the Cape Feather and Yoshi. The Cape Feather improves upon the Raccoon Leaf for having faster attacks and longer flights equipped with better momentum. This helps reach higher paths, and with precise rhythm you can completely ignore certain levels. Yoshi is part of a subplot where himself and its race are captured in each boss fortress, and it's Mario's job to get them back. However, Yoshi can do more depending on what color the Yoshi is. That and the extra mobility Yoshi grants Mario when eating enemies and catapulting the plumber sky high. Super Mario World was met with widespread critical acclaim upon release. The graphics were charming, the replayability was there thanks to world building, and behind every little influences the game had, like introducing Yoshi and hidden pathways, lies in what critics can agree is the most polished 2D Mario game. Fast forward to 2012 and now New Super Mario Bros. U, packed in the launch title for the recent Nintendo Wii U, gets released. New Super Mario Bros. U is the fourth installment to the New Super Mario Bros. Series. This particular series in general had some criticism over the lack of new content that the title would on the other hand suggest. Over the years, however, New Super Mario Bros. U is easily considered as the best title in the new series, not so much for being new, but for giving out a breath of fresh air, especially after the mediocre New Super Mario Bros. 2 for the Nintendo 3DS. Jointed worlds are once again combined with thematic environments between Super Mario Bros. 3 and Super Mario World to add in more atmosphere, mainly to improve the past games. While the entire world map might not seem natural compared to Super Mario World's map, it seemed to take inspiration from that game than the new series did from Mario 3. With branching pathways, larger scaled levels, and map interactions, this Mario game was once again accomplishing world building. Aside from those similarities, the game did introduce new power-ups and game modes. For the signature power-up is the Acorn, which grants the Flying Squirrel suit. You can ascend as you take off, but you glide to view parts of a level while sticking with precise platforming. The Squirrel suit can also cling on walls equipped with the wall jump mechanic. This power-up was a pleasant surprise to some since it creates new gliding physics for the 2D platformer, without being restrictive like the Raccoon suit or broken like the Cape Feather. Other modes were added to Mario U, which gave better replayability and challenges featuring the series standards. The multiplayer aspect gets used for each, such as Coin Battle brought back from New Mario Wii, Boost Rush mode where stages speed up the more items you collect, and Challenge modes which has objectives testing players' skills. These are not just great for veterans who are looking for something more challenging, but they can also teach new players the new Mario series basic fundamentals through small trials. New Mario U did not get as large of a reception the previous games did, despite it being a launch title like Super Mario World to sell Wii U systems. While people need to look past it being another Mario title, it at least did more to distinguish itself while being the most solid 2D Mario game since World, at least when playing the main game on your own. If the mechanics from other Mario games weren't broken, then there'll be no reason for Mario U to change that. If you haven't played the game because it might just look like another Mario game without effort, it will be best to try it out. You might be in for a surprise. Whether you have stopped playing the series or haven't played too much of it, you cannot deny the quality that Mario games have that yet somehow more consumers buy. It's been going strong for the past 30 years, and despite being designed safer for the previous entries, we can hope that possible 2D Mario games in the future can improve upon them. Now with Super Mario Maker making its way to market soon, fans of level design and platformers can now experience the core aspect of what makes a Mario game good in the first place. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all whenever. Take care.